Well, we just heard yesterday Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula saying he's very keen to get a bill through Parliament on drinking and driving. What it proposes is a zero limit on alcohol consumption if you're going to be driving. The curb on alcohol sales during lockdown have been a double-edged sword. Firstly, it has hit the industry hard and those employed in it. Secondly, it has had the desired effect of reducing trauma cases and freeing up hospital beds. But are we capable of dealing with this pervasive issue highlighted by the pandemic? Maurice is the director of the SA Alcohol Policy Alliance and joins me now to discuss these issues further. Maurice, good evening and thank you so much for your time on The Pulse. Firstly, when you look at how government has been managing the regulation of alcohol during this period, do you think there was a better way of reintroducing it back into society?
We definitely think there would have been a better way of doing it, because if you look at what has happened since the most recent ban has been lifted, which is different to what happened in June, there are only really 4 restrictions on alcohol, and that includes the 10 o'clock deadline for on-consumption places, the Monday to Thursday 9 to 5 for off-consumption, the fact that nightclubs have to remain closed, and also that there's a limit of 50 people. But we don't believe that that's enough to actually change the way that people are going to engage with alcohol. And I think that's been shown in the past week with a rise in trauma cases in the Western Cape to more than double what they were before. More than 700 people arrested for drunken driving, the tragic death of those 3 police officers in Tshwane a couple of days ago. We just think that not enough thought went into how do we actually prevent things from going back to normal, and it hasn't worked.
You've mentioned an important phrase there, and it's about changing behavior, right? Yesterday we had the Transport Minister saying he believes a reduction of the current drinking driving limit, if I can put it that way, needs to be reduced. Do you agree with him?
Absolutely. I mean, at the moment it's 0.05. In 2012, government was proposing a reduction to 0.02. And then in 2015, they amended the Road Traffic Amendment Bill, which they had drafted in 2012. They amended it to say reduce it to 0. And that's the bill that's currently on the parliamentary agenda and is supposed to be being discussed, although we don't know when. We are pressurizing government to debate the bill in Parliament so that it can be passed, because whether it's reduced to 0.02 or to 0, in both instances, it will actually assist in trying to reduce the rate of drunken driving and car crashes resulting from drunken driving. So, yes, we agree.
Sure. Of course, one of the challenges is that even right now, at 0.05%, the enforcement of that legislation seems to be part of what encourages the behavior that we're seeing. Often we hear instances of people who were driving under the influence of alcohol, but were not arrested by police because they paid bribes. Their cases just disappear. So there seems to be no level of accountability on that level too.
Look, I think that's true, and that has to be dealt with. But I think that what we need is a much bigger project, and that's the project of changing the culture of drinking in the country. And we subscribe fully to the World Health Organization approach, which is the 3 best buys, which is you ban advertising or severely limit advertising because you don't want people to be encouraged to drink through advertising. The other thing is to reduce the availability of alcohol, which is partly what's happening at the moment with the restrictions on hours and days. And the third thing is to increase the price of alcohol. Our alcohol in South Africa is particularly for beer, is amongst the cheapest in the world. And if alcohol is too affordable, people will just drink more. So we're not saying ban alcohol, we're not saying make it completely unaffordable, but certainly make it more expensive so that people will drink less, and also that if you have more excise tax, you can use that for health promotion strategies for trying to help to change the culture in the country. Look, it's a big project, and it's not going to be easy, but we've got to do something.
It sounds like we need more of the industry, the producers, manufacturers of alcoholic brands and products to also come on board here.
Look, it would be very useful, but you know, the point about the liquor industry is that they are a business. They are producing a product, they have to sell the product, they have to make profit for their shareholders. It's very hard, I think, to argue that they must somehow do something that is counterintuitive, and that is to promote a level of consumption that is going to hurt their profits. They argue for responsible drinking, but that's what all they're doing is putting the blame on the individual. They're not looking at the structural mechanisms in our society, through advertising, through peer pressure, through normalization, through glamorization of alcohol, that encourages people to drink in a dangerous way. So all of that has to change, and they won't do that. It's not in their interest to do that. That's why government has to introduce new regulations. And the laws are there. I mean, there's a liquor amendment bill which has been waiting to be passed since 2017, based on the new liquor policy of 2016. We just don't understand why government isn't taking the existing bills that they have and taking them through Parliament, allowing public consultation, and getting them through and passed so they can begin to take effect.